All right, all right. Let's get into that. Let's get into that. Oh, let's sink our teeth into this. I do love a good old Sansa POV chapter. Our eyes on King's Landing, so to speak. I know that some readers are like, "Oh God, Sansa's like so totally clueless, man." But let's not, dear listener, let's not underestimate the type of info that she's exposed to every time, regardless of whether she fully comprehends that info or not. You know what? Um, Later on, in A Feast for Crows, the quality of info she gets privy to is quite extraordinary, if I may. And I'm talking info that no monarch, no hand to the king or queen, no masters of whispers, no other characters have access to in the entire series. So there. But I've said it before, time and again. I will not go into spoilers here, and my principle will be I will be looking back and not forward in the timeline. I mean, speaking of timeline, this chapter takes place before Area 1. That's Arya escaping from Harrenhal, doing her Blair Witch Project thing with Gendry and Hot Pie, and arguing over a map and where are we supposed to go, and is that the river we're supposed to cross, and where did we leave the car? And this is according to the most precise timeline in existence, unquote, created, as far as I understand, by a Reddit member named Feldman 10, and I imagine a whole bunch of other people who collaborated on the project. Also, 9 days after Sansa ate in a Clash of Kings. That's how precise these people managed to be in their timeline. So Sansa ate in a ACOC, where we left Sansa sort of witnessing a whole bunch of development points. See what I mean? Like Tywin Lannister is now hand to the king, and many are rewarded for their service to House Lannister during the Battle of Blackwater. A zillion new knights are made. Sir Loras Tyrell is named a member of Joffrey's Kingsguard. And Marjorie is betrothed to Joffrey now, at which point Sansa had to sort of contain herself from somersaulting her way across the throne room, kind of like John Belushi in the Blues Brothers when he sees the light. The band! The band! Anyway, because this, of course, means that her betrothal to Joffrey has come to an end. Mace Tyrell is named to the king's small council. He's given a seat in the small council. Many of the great lords sworn to Casterly Rock and Highgarden receive honours, and many hedge knights and free riders, not to mention freeloaders. Helene the Pyromancer is named Lord. He's got all of these characters here who advance in their careers, even though he's given no lands. And Lancel is named Lord and given land of the Derrys, except that he's not doing too well. He may die or lose his arm possibly. I think we see him looking more like dead than alive. It's from the wound that he suffered in the battle. And wait a minute, didn't Queen Cersei punch him right there on his wound because it said something that displeased her back in Maegor's Holdfast, causing him to bend over and cry in agony? Do I remember correctly? Because that certainly didn't help. That certainly didn't help. If Lancel ends up kicking the bucket, Queen Cersei might have something to do with it as well. I'm not going to spoil anything for you. So Sansa 8, I thought so. Yeah, that's where it happens. Yeah, in Sansa 7, when they're all, trying to seeking all these ladies are seeking refuge in Maegor's holdfast guests of Cersei, who does so not because he wants to look after her subjects, but because it's expected of her. So there you go. Anyway, Littlefinger is granted Harrenhal, this time for real, and also named Lord Paramount of the Trident for negotiating the treaty, which brought the Tyrells to the aid of King's Landing, a plot concocted by Tyrion, for which the latter is granted neither titles nor lands. Now, what exactly is Lord Baelish supposed to do with a title, not an empty one for sure, but still linked, to a castle that is notoriously cursed and extremely difficult to decorate? It'll take more than a few curtains and a rug to keep the room together. That place is like awful by several standards. Well, we'll find out soon enough how Littlefinger will find a good use for all these perks and fringe benefits. So anyway, so now Sansa, a full 9 days from a Clash of Kings, Sansa 8, when she said that the royal wedding was a moon's turn away. There she is now, one of our sets of eyes on King's Landing, and she's pondering over an invitation letter from Marjorie Tyrell. What could that be? Pajama party, bad movie night, BYOB? We still don't know, because Sansa immediately goes into flashback mode and recalls the entire thing. Marjorie arriving, King's Landers going apeshit crazy over her. She's a super celebrity in town on account of all the goodies. I don't know, turnips, onions, jam, Cheetos, all that stuff that the Tyrell Corporation is allowing back into King's Landing, forgetting that it was the Tyrells who choked King's Landing into starvation in the first place. So anyway, Sansa recalls Joffrey meeting his new fiancé, riding from Aegon Hill side by side, crowds going mental over the new power couple, and she looked gorgeous. I mean, yeah. If she looked anything like what's her name? I got it right here. Natalie Dormer. I had to look her up, even though I've seen her in like a zillion things. The actress, from the HBO series. But I didn't remember her name off the top of my head. But yeah, she looks anything like that, like her. Yeah, I don't think gorgeous is a hyperbole, if I may be so bold. So the royal parade, because that's what it is, complete with bride's mother and grandmother, following in a super tacky wheelhouse. What's a wheelhouse anyway? It's like an RV, Westphalia kind of thing. And all the while, Sansa was thinking, look at these bastards, the King's Landers, not the royal extended family. Well, them too, but she doesn't call them King's Lander, by the way. She's a lot more like slurred, derogative, small folk. A word that she uses that, frankly, I don't know. I mean, you say small folk, I think, the Smurfs. They're tiny little people. Well, I think King's Landers is more accurate, if you don't mind. So anyway, she thinks, look at these bastards. Pull me from my horse and would have had their wicked way with me, if not for the hound. Remember the famous uh, riot, King's Landing riot, a while back in ACOC, and now they just scream in adoration for Marjorie. Some of these Kingslanders may well have been paid. I don't know. Or something fishy about this. And anyway, back to the invitation. She received this card. It's for supper. We find out now. Dear Sansa, this is Marjorie. Why don't you come over for supper? Something like that. But what if it's a trap from Joffrey? Some cruel jay, because that's how he rolls. No one could save me then, not even Tyrion. Remember, because Tyrion did save Sansa from some gratuitous brutality last time. I believe in A Clash of Kings, Sansa 3. Yeah, I got it right there. I don't just quote these references off the top of my head. I have a whole bunch of bullet points here. But no. Right now, only her Dontos could save her. I just reread that passage earlier on because I didn't have my reading glasses on, and I swear to God, I thought I read Doritos. Not even Doritos could save me now. Ha. But Doritos have helped in many an occasions, I should say. So yeah, because Doritos told her way back, he told her, look, a ship will be ready to take you away from King's Landing, which is really toxic for you. It's not good for you. And I have it all planned. Out. You just trust me. Let me do this thing. You have a cabin in second class, already booked. It's the best I could, secure right now. What with high season and all. But only at a specific time during the royal wedding. That will be your moment. I'll give you a signal or something when everybody is distracted, and you'll slip away, and bada bing bada boom, you'll board the ship and off you go to wherever you want. Maybe up north to join your mother. Let me have a sip of coffee now. And when you look at all the things that Dontos have been telling her, also, incidentally, among various things, he said, okay, no, don't forget to wear this hairnet with little amethysts, black amethysts on it. You will, it's for good luck. Don't forget, it's crucial. During the royal wedding, you must wear this hairnet on your head. Which seems the least relevant thing, the least relevant, element in this ploy to smuggle Sansa out of King's Landing. But there you go. And he said, we'll have to wait for the moment when everybody's distracted. It's almost as if Dontos knew that everyone will be distracted by something at some point during the royal wedding. Say no more. Meanwhile, all Sansa can do is wait and have supper with Marge. In Sansa's character arc, the current phase of her growth and eventual development to a proper player of the game, TM, I presume the current phase is now paranoia. She's thinking maybe a cigar is just a cigar and dinner is just dinner. But if there's one thing I have learned around here is mistrust. And then, totally out of the left field, once again, I wish the Hound was here. This is the second... I wish the Hound was here? Who just kept insulting her, said, you little bird, you're so stupid. You're like, all you can do is just recite those courtesies that you learned in your highborn little lady upbringing, you so stupid little bird, and so on and so forth. And this is the second thought she devotes to Sandor. Surely for a reason. I mean, we found out later that she even kept his white cloak. You know, the white cloak he left behind on his last night in King's Landing, not before demanding a song from Sansa, which was a bittersweet moment, I thought. But I mean, whether she cares to admit it or not, Sandor is now her, in my and other people's opinion, her subconscious ideal of a knight in shiny armor and very, very remotely deep, buried deep in her subconscious, a potential love interest. Ha! There, I said it. It's a twisted world out there. So anyway, under the category of love interest, guess who picks Sansa up to escort her to Marjorie's quarters? If not Sir Loras, aka the Knight of Flowers. She's like so into him, she can't contain her excitement, and he goes, "Hi, my grandmother is excited to meet you," which, as pickup lines go, it doesn't really cut it, because you see, the supper was engineered by the Tyrell matriarch, Lady Olenna, but a lot of people pronounce it Olena. So okay, I guess I'll conform. Oleana, could be Oleana, like the Toto song. Whom we meet this lady here for the first time. They all call her the Queen of Thorns, though not to her face, and she will definitely be there at the supper. The card was written dictated by her, and oh yeah, Queen of Thorns, Knight of Flowers. Okay, the rose, symbolizing the Tyrell, on the Tyrell's sigil. Okay, interesting. And you know what? The first time I read this nick, Knight of Flowers, this moniker that Loras self-styled himself with, my grammar sucks right now. The Knight of Flowers. The first time I read that, I immediately thought of a painting I saw ages ago, titled, wait for it, the Knight of Flowers. Yeah, here it is. I looked it up because I didn't remember the artist's name, and it turns out it was a certain Georges Rochegrosse, Le Chevalier aux Fleurs. How do you like that? 1894. Now you tell me that George R.R. Martin wasn't inspired by this painting when he gave birth to this character. There's no way he didn't have this painting in mind. Look at him. The armor, the flowers. All girls are crazy about him, but he doesn't really seem interested. So there they are. So they pass through the inner yard, where a whole bunch of different sets of siblings are there practicing the red wines, the twins, the Kettlebacks brothers, the red wine twins, Kettleback brothers. They're all engaged in this sword and shield practice. One of those is Garlan, Loras' brother, who's busy kicking the shit out of some bloke whose name we don't learn. Still in the context of, he's not in a fight, he's not in a brawl, he's in the context of this sword and shield sort of practice. And this is where Sansa makes an interesting faux pas. First, she's all like, "Oh, you were so cool, Sir Loras, so good to see you again, you were so cool at the Hans Tourney." This is in book 1. And then she mentions how he unhorsed Sir Robert Royce. Now, Sir Robert Royce was one of the Kingsguard members of the Kingsguard killed by Loras way after the Hand's tourney. In fact, in Clash of Kings, in a red rage for their failure, for Robbers and another bloke whose name I can't recall right now, for their failure to protect the king. You know, this was when Renly had just been murdered by the Shadow Baby, unleashed by Melisandre. God, what a story. Anyway, so remembering all that, Loras goes all stiff and cold, and it seems to be in a rotten mood from then onwards. And Sansa picks on that. He's all like, okay, well, what's the point of mentioning those people? They're dead. This is not even a revelation, you know, it's a subliminal hint. And so far, you see, George Martin hasn't really given us a lot of clues that Loras is not into women, and then he's in or was in a deep and meaningful and serious, albeit secret, relationship with the late Renly Baratheon. I mean, all the clues he's given us so far, and I hope I'm not spoiling that for you, by the way, that I didn't just spoil this thing for you. But yeah, the clues we've been getting so far over the last two books can be literally counted on one hand. Here's this. Sir Daisy, they call him, says Walder Frey in Catelyn 9. This is in Game of Thrones. That's not even much of a clue, is it? It could mean anything. This is in Catelyn 9. He's referred to as the Knight of Pansies, and that bugger's trick that he played at the Hand's tourney. This comes from Chiswick, and another reference to the Hand's tourney, and this is a dreadful chapter, by the way. Well written, but dreadful in terms of content. Appearing in a Clash of Kings. This is Area 7. And also in a Clash of Kings, Catelyn 3, Stannis says to Renly in their famous last encounter, the failed parley. Stannis goes, in your bed, Marjorie, she's like to die that way, meaning a maid. That's what Stannis says to Renly. In your bed, Marjorie is likely to die a maid, if, as you claim, she's a maid right now. So that's it. That is really it. The references to and clues to Loras being exclusively, not even interested in men, not interested in one man. Renly's little... There was another one. Yeah, Renly's little flower. It was called, but I think it's in a future book. Okay, so far this is all we've encountered. Anyway, so right, quick detour, but I'm back on track. That I'll just say this is just contrast this to the HBO series, because you know that the HBO series went immediately out of its way to spell it out right from the beginning. Yes, these two are a couple in secret, because same-sex marriage is still not a thing in Westeros and neighboring continents. So yeah, but this is a fact right now. In fact, here's some raunchy sex, because sex position. And that's it. Yeah. So anyway, they arrive at the Tyrell's HQ, a keep named the Maiden Vault, where in the past Baelor the Blessed locked his two sisters, so he wouldn't be tempted into unlawful carnal knowledge by just seeing them being women What a nice chap, right? And they're ushered in by two guys named Left and Right. There's two Tyrell bodyguards assigned to the Queen of Thorns, two identical twins, about 7 feet tall, whose real names are in fact Eric and Eric. There you go. And there's the Queen of Thorns, and there's Marjorie with her entourage, all characters that will keep cropping up. Her mum, her three cousins. These three girls will be fleshed out later in the book. Mace Tyrell's sister. A whole bunch of Fossaway relations are mentioned. Some septa named Nysterica, which I think I would rather pronounce, the Slavonic way, Nysterica. I think that's more appropriate. There, I decided. I'm not even asking. I'm making it a thing now. Nysterica. A few other ladies, and this is Lady Taina Merryweather's first appearance. She doesn't have any lines here. In fact, right now she doesn't even have a first name. It's just Lady Merryweather. But watch this space. She's going to be a pretty relevant character. And finally, she's greeted by a tiny but powerful Lady Olenna. Hello. More and more Slavonic names here. Olenna Tyrell, who is this pocket-sized sort of doll with white hair. That's how she's described. And lovely to see you, and give us a hug. I knew your grandfather. Yeah, well, I didn't, and blah, blah, blah. And right from the start, every word uttered by Lady Olenna is a kind of like a manipulation to sort of get Sansa to flip her cards face up, so to speak, cards that Sansa would rather play close to her chest, but Olenna does the whole KGB thing, interrogation, but in a clever way, you'll see. So first she goes, she seems to be skipping from one topic to the next, like ADHD, but one feels on a reread that this whole thing is actually scripted. She goes, okay, so Renly and the Baratheons are nuts, aren't they? Yeah, the stupid claim, as if claims were important to her. They're nuts. Yeah, much like my bodyguards. Get it? Because they're called Left and Right. Ha ha. And their Targaryen blood makes them do stupid things, I suppose. Which I think, as far as the novels are concerned, I'm not including the World of Ice and Fire, but I think this is the first time we hear that there are a few drops of Targaryen blood in the Baratheons. But there you go. And it's their blood it's probably that particular segment of their DNA that makes them do the stupidest things. And by the way, yeah, do you know that I was supposed to marry a Targy like a couple of centuries ago? And she just keeps on ranting. And my son is useless, and my daughter-in-law isn't allowed to call me mother, and more history lessons, blah blah blah. All to do with joining Renly's team and supposedly regretting it now. She goes, what a stupid idea it was to join Renly when his claim wasn't really legit, and so on and so forth. And we're supposed to believe that the tiny Lady Olenna didn't engineer any of that. It's kind of like implied that she is in charge of a lot of things going on in Team Tyrell. So anyway, and all the while, Lady Ellery, who is is it Mace Tyrell's wife? She goes, "Oh, hush, hush, mother." Oops. Oh, actually, no, I'm not allowed to call you that. Why don't she tries to zip her mother-in-law's mouth, but there's no shutting her up really, and she seems to be trying to distract the conversation, to change the topics, but this whole thing feels even rehearsed now. I didn't realize that. I didn't pick on that the first time I read this chapter, but she goes. Ellery goes, "Why don't we have some lemon cakes instead? Maybe a pina colada, rice crackers, anything to shut her up." But there's no way. The sheet. By now, she's unstoppable, Lady Oleana, and then she will demand something for all the information the fake news that she's giving out. She will demand something in return. We'll see. Right? She engages in casual misandry. All men are fools, but at least professional fools in Motley are kind of funny. So she summoned the resident fool Butterbumps. What a lovely name. Who promptly arrives and does a magic trick with chicks coming out of an egg. If there's a metaphor there, I don't know. It's wasted on me. Sorry. And but Lady Oleana, by the way, what a great coup it was, right? To cast the great Diana Rigg in that role. I mean, with Miss Emma Peel in person. And Oleana, she does something clever now. First, she makes it clear that she's not exactly in love with the lions. A bold move, considering that she's their guest right now. She's under their roof. And the Lannies might have, in fact, probably almost certainly do have spies everywhere. I mean, this very instant. And then straight away she asks for some honesty in return. And she goes, "Well, tell me truth, child. What's this boy king like?" She clearly wants to know if he's likely... And that's one thing that we think she wants to know, whether Joffrey is likely to mistreat Oleana's granddaughter, Marjorie. And then she says that I'm asking, because there are rumors going around that he's actually a sadistic psycho nuts. Could you confirm or deny? And by the way, in a Feast for Crows, we'll find out exactly who has been spreading these rumors. But Sansa, let's get back to Sansa. No spoilers. Sansa's terrified, so she goes into automatic pilot mode. Yeah, he's all right. He's an all right bloke. He's attractive. He's gallant. Oh, love his fleshy lips. Fleshy lips. Which in George R. Martin's world, by the way, are usually a sign of cruelty. Because as far as I remember, Reek, who turned out not to be Reek at all, but rather Ramsay Snow, also had fleshy lips, or am I wrong? Anyway, so yeah, he's alright. He's an alright bloke. He's got lovely golden curls and... he looks really cool, and it's like the prince from all those songs, But the Lady of Thorns will have none of that. She goes, now, speak up, child. Honesty is the best policy, I will remind you. Because that worked really well for her dad, Ned. But Sansa takes a lot of encouraging. She goes like, "Relax, child. You're shaking. Here, want some music? You're among friends. Let me play some music. Butterbumps, whatever you got on your playlist." And Butterbumps, she launches himself into a rendition of The Bear and the Maiden Fair, which it's a song, it's a popular song that I think was mentioned in a previous chapter somewhere, and now we actually get to find out some of the, the lyrics from this song. And of course, the song is a ploy to reassure Sansa that, whoever is eavesdropping on this conversation won't be able to hear a thing. Yeah, you see? And Lady Ollie goes, "Sing louder. I don't pay you to whisper." "Well, you don't pay me at all, ma'am. I mean, I don't reckon you do. Because, as far as I know, the coin I receive comes from your son." No? Isn't that the way it works? I figure. I don't think Lady Ollie actually needs to carry any cash with her. Everything is provided for her. But anyway, here it goes. Here's the song. Na 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 na, the maiden fair, so on and so forth. And he starts like really shouting at that point, which is excruciating for everybody listening. But that's the price you have to pay for, privacy around there in that beautiful garden. Because I seem to recall that scene takes place in a garden. It's all outdoors, isn't it? Yeah, they are in a garden in both the chapter and the HBO series. They're in a garden in the outdoors, and ears everywhere, as we'll find out. Masters of whisperers, spies, and so on. But butter comes. Oh God. But this was done on purpose. Butter bumps sings louder than the ladies. So you see, child, come on, you can speak up. So what? Eventually, cut a long story short, Sansa does eventually spill the beans. He goes, "Yes, he's evil. He's a monster. He's cruel. He enjoys shooting puppies in his Speedos." How he manages to coax puppies into his Speedos, I don't know. But there you go. Ha ha ha. See what I did there? Yeah, this is the old Groucho Marx. "I once shot an elephant in my pajamas." How that elephant got into my pajamas, I will never know. So there. And so Lady Oleana goes, "You see, darling? You see, child? Doesn't it feel better now? To get it all off your chest? Huh? There. Tell you what we'll do." Lady Ollie continues. "We'll take... Have you noticed now, like Marjorie, the invitation came from Marjorie, and Marjorie, like every other character, has taken a back seat. That person, that little Russian doll, however she's described, a Russian doll with white hair or something, really is in charge. And she goes, "I'll tell you what now. Tell you what we'll do, dear Sansa. Why don't we take you to Highgarden, and then you'll get there and you'll marry my grandson, and how do you fancy that?" Immediately, Sansa feels rewarded. "Oh my God, that is so lovely, isn't it? Yeah, Loras? Am I going to marry Loras? No, not Loras, you dummy. He's a member of the Kingsguard now. He's not allowed to marry you or anyone. Not to mention that other thing that you don't seem to have picked on yet, but that's all right, you're in good company." No, it says not Loras. Besides, we do need Loras right now, by his sister's side, if you know what I mean. So no. There's the older one I was talking about, Willas. His name is Willas. Firstborn. So he's a bit old for you, and he had his leg crushed under the weight of a full horse. A rather common accident here at attorneys, by the way. And that happened because that Oberyn Martell played dirty. That's interesting. More on that background backstory later, hopefully. Don't remember. But anyway, so yeah, well, look, you could do worse, dear Sansa, because he being Willas being a firstborn is going to inherit Highgarden. So there you go. That should make up for all of those other things. And Sansa goes, okay, yeah, well, wow, that sounds good, but do you think Cersei will let me? And she goes, oh, don't worry, we have leverage on Cersei and her dad, who is really in charge. You see, it's these elders, it's these bloody elders who are always in charge, but they're making way for the younger generation, one by one. Okay, shut up, no spoilers. But yeah, so yeah, well, she'd better let you. That's how things are going to go the pan out. Or so Oleana thinks. And there are things that, so far, there are things that seemed all, planned and thought out and all, scripted, like Loras is going to be Kingsguard, always by Marjorie's side. So he can intervene in case, he smells domestic abuse, which doesn't really sound like a very wise plan, but maybe then again Oleana might have a very different plan in mind. Because Kingsguards, are supposed to protect and not judge, in the words of Barristan Selmy, I believe. So, and a hothead like Loras is not likely to... Who shall we remind ourselves here, just murdered two of his brothers in arms over their failure to protect the king. Just like that, didn't even ask any questions. What happened? How to go. So he's clearly a hothead. That is a recipe for catastrophe. It doesn't sound like a very wise plan, is what I'm saying. To leave Loras as to plant Loras always by Marjorie's side, and Joffrey being a potential abusive husband. No. That's also the fact that Sansa is now unofficially betrothed to this Willas. Everything seems to be like all planned out, right? And I don't want to say too much, but let's just say that things might not exactly pan out that way. And so, what else is there? Okay, so right. Anyway, the Bear and the Maiden Fair is now over. Thank God for that. Everybody's grateful for the end of this, which coincidentally, a song that coincidentally ends at the end of right after all these machinations are done and dusted. And if that song wasn't cheesy enough, here finally the cheese is served. Here comes a guy with the cheese, the platter of cheese, and did they forget the chutney again? So there you have it, a storm of Sansa. I wish I had a thought of the day, but my mind is blank. So for this one, for this unpredictable series of ramblings by yours truly, I will leave you, dear listener, free to fill in the blank. You insert a thought of a day yourself. I am open to all suggestions. And in fact, thank you for following me all the way here. And I'm really looking forward to the next chapter, which is none other than Jon 1. The Storm of Swords 7. Wow. Yeah, we're back in the snow. Literally. Right. Anyway, have a great one, and see you around.